Do you believe in the existence of time travel? Are people today capable of traveling back to the past and forward to the future? Are governments trying to hide this exotic time travel technology from the masses? Is the future set in stone or can people change it? Let's find out today. Hey, welcome everybody back to the Fringe Artist channel. Today I've got something really exciting and interesting to cover. So, here is an article in the Express website which talks about how a British time traveler has declared that World War III will start in 2020 in an odd video that was posted with the Apex channel, right? So let's just go over the details, and I want to quickly set the context here. But before I do, I would request all viewers to kindly consider subscribing to this channel. I promise I'll bring you a lot of good content from news sources you would have barely heard of, something that you don't read in your daily newspapers. Hit the like button and feel free to comment on the video. Your feedback is welcome, and we'll continue the conversation there. So without further ado, let's get straight into the article. So what we have here is a 13-minute long video that was posted onto the channel, where it said that Kim Jong-un, the North Korean dictator, would be declaring war on US, and it would lead to a catastrophic fallout for North Korea and the United States. And it also talks about how the UK also gets dragged into the war along with Russia and China and along with the Brits. So it's really a frightening, apocalyptic, biblical World War III kind of scenario that we are talking about by 2020. As far as my own opinions are concerned, I will come to it later in the video, so do watch the video completely to know what I am thinking about it. But for the moment, let's read further on this. So it followed, that there was a 3-year conflict with a limited exchange between the US and North Korea. So the video also goes on to talk about other predictions as well. Millions of lives were lost in the process, and he claims that it was a huge natural disaster. Aside from war itself, he also talks about bigger disasters, wiping off California from the map. A huge 10.2 magnitude earthquake occurring in the future, dubbed the big one, really got California off the cliff and directly into the sea, 10 foot below the sea level. So that is something really interesting. And he also talks about how Donald Trump was impeached after 2 terms, and there was a new candidate who came in his place. Oprah Winfrey tried a bunch to become the president. She couldn't. Then there's a guy who shows up called Mr. Macintosh, who leads the country to good things. And in the 2020s, people go to Mars, but then NASA is not involved in it, and stuff like that. So basically, it is Elon Musk with his SpaceX who actually gets to Mars first. So yeah, I mean, all these things are conceivable, but only time will tell whether these will really be brought to bear. So then it goes on to say what kind of technology this time traveler used, to really get his travel going across time zones and all of that. So I will leave a link to this article below in the channel, and you can have a read at it. There's one more article I want to cover, which is a related article, which is a slightly dated article, but it is equally important that we look at this in context of the time traveler's prediction. So this is where my opinion comes from. So what am I basically saying? I am saying that, look, if the time traveler indeed predicted a nuclear attack on the Hawaii Islands in the future, I think that has already come to pass. Just that a whole lot of people in the mainstream, the masses, they just don't know about it. Because back in January of this year, there was indeed a warning that went off in the Hawaii Islands talking about how nuclear missile was actually headed their way, and they had to quickly cover themselves and protect themselves by entering an underground bunker. And this emergency broadcast system went off clearly talking about a warning. And here is an article from exopolitics.org, and which clearly talks about how the residents of the Hawaiian Islands received this emergency alert in January 13th, 2018, of an incoming ballistic missile. And it is no joke. It was not like they were trying to test the system. Remember, Hawaii is usually the epicenter of all kinds of natural disasters. You have storms, you have volcanoes going off, you have all kinds of nonsense, you have drills happening there all the time. Their emergency broadcast system in Hawaii is very well primed to really alert the citizens whenever there is a disaster. So I just can't imagine how somebody would actually think of testing the system all over again on a certain random date of the year just to see if systems are working. It doesn't make sense, right? So the very first alert that one of the people who posted this online was an emergency alert which says ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. I mean, isn't it obvious that it is flashing right on your phones? And this was not picked up by the mainstream media, and that is why most people don't know about it, right? So it is one thing for the time traveler to give a prediction for 2020, but in my humble opinion, this has already come to pass. And what does that all mean for the predictions? Well, I just think that we might have just dodged a bullet. And it's not to say the World War III may not happen. I'm not saying that. It might still happen due to all kinds of stupid reasons between US and Russia. But more importantly, the very specific prediction of the time traveler saying that Hawaii would be struck has already come to pass. And this is why we need not worry about this prediction anymore. Right now, he's actually declaring it in the open because he knows there is no risk of it happening. It has already come to pass. So in a way, he's declaring his intent and kind of sending a subtle message saying that please be alert to these kind of threats. Even if the mainstream media doesn't cover these, that you need to know that all this nonsense is happening, right? There is a war that is being fought behind the scenes between the powers that be and certain groups of people who are trying to reclaim their sovereignty, reclaim freedom on earth. You have the deep state on the one hand, and then you have the good white hats on the other. They're really trying to fight a battle, and that's what this entire article is about, right? And then half an hour later, you have this emergency alert all over again. There is no missile threat or danger to the state of Hawaii. Repeat, false alert. So, after half an hour, it's like, yeah, everything is just fine. So let's just get back to work. Everything is just fine. The dust has settled. I mean, so this is the kind of confusion that the emergency broadcast system in Hawaii had created. And then after 38 minutes of sheer terror, the residents were notified by the emergency alert system that it was a false alert. Absolutely. So, moving on. And it goes on to talk about how the residents of the island who have been living here for a long time, they understand the emergency broadcast system very well, and they know that such alerts such drills, don't happen every other day. And so they couldn't have possibly made a mistake. And this is the alternate version of what could have possibly gone down on that day, right? You have a missile launch that was detected over the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Hawaii. The launches originated from the same anomaly detected on Jan 12th. The missiles were immediately intercepted and destroyed. The anomaly was revealed to be a nuclear stealth submarine. The nuclear stealth submarine was located and destroyed. And people will ask, who has such malicious intent? I mean, wake up, brother. The world is run by a small group of people who have aggregated power over the last 500 years. Go read up the alternate history of our planet. I think that is something that will never be featured in any school's textbooks. You will have to do your own reading. You have to educate yourself and really find out what's really going on planet Earth. So there is really a battle going on to reclaim this planet from a bunch of people who are out to imprison people and reduce freedom of speech, kind of create an Orwellian nightmare, just like how it's mentioned in the book 1984. So, it also goes on to speculate on how a secret US Air Force program, a secret space program, could have intercepted such a missile before it could even land in Hawaii. So yeah, the governments of the world have this technology. They have the ability to fly at incredible speeds with unconventional technology, right? They don't use this fuel driven, fossil fuel driven kind of technology. They're using, I don't know, warp drives, mercury revolving at great speeds. I mean, there are a number of technologies that black budget projects are into, so I don't want to go deep into it. But suffice to say, there are also photographs of UFOs that were, kind of, captured around the same time of the incident. So it's really interesting to see how these entities could have also played a role. I mean, you just need to have an open mind. The world is not as straight and clear and straight jacketed as you think. It is complex, it is fuzzy. Just because you don't happen to see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? So it's just one of those things. And yeah, it goes on to say how the Trump administration has been freezing financial assets of certain offenders and people from the deep state, and it might quite well been a reaction to such measures from the Trump administration, where they've been trying to get back at them and start World War III and all of that. So we're really living in a dangerous world, and it's important that we as citizens, we pay heed to such news and stay on top of it, and also demand certain answers from our governments, right? We cannot be the loyal sheep that is kind of led just over the cliff, right? We have to make our own decisions. We need to have our own thinking, and we need to do our own research, right? Do your own research. Don't believe me. Don't believe just some other person who is talking about it. Go check the facts. Go scour 15 different websites. Form a point of view, right? It's all very easy to kind of get trapped in this reality, right? Honestly, the reality we live in is much more complex than what you see. So I will leave a link to both these articles today, and you can read it in your free time. Once again, I urge you to subscribe to my channel, and feel free to continue the conversation in the comment section. Like the video, share it with a bunch of people, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.